show off your tattoo?
Oh, wrong one.
You forget the arm?
Forget the arm sometimes.
Hey everybody, joined with buddy Aldo. Been here before. Today we were going to talk about Sega stuff because he's a big, huge Sega mega fan. A mega Sega fan. Mm-hmm. We were talking about console wars earlier, remember?
Yeah.
So we didn't have a Nintendo. We had Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
I don't like y'all. You were the same, right?
Well, we had a Nintendo.
Y'all were super cool.
You know, we had a Nintendo, so we sold it. Got a Sega Genesis.
I think I sold it to my grandmother. I think
Your
my grandmother bought it.
Hell
like,
yeah.
because you know how, like, you know, it's nice to have a console at the grandma's house, so that way every time we go.
There's always that one.
She ended up giving that to my cousin, and I kind of like was a little salty.
Yeah.
I was like, you should have let me buy that back.
So like, my grandma had an Atari 2600.
That was like my last Sega console. I never had a Dreamcast.
What?
I never had a Saturn. I never had the Mega Drive.
Oh man.
Like, it was like we went straight from Sega, PlayStation 1. And if you really think about it, that was only like 5 years.
Yeah, it wasn't that much time. I went from the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, got rid of the Super Nintendo. That's what we sold.
Yeah.
And I got the Genesis.
Yeah, to this day, dude, like, I've never owned... I have the NES Classic.
Yeah.
Super cool. I'm hip.
Super rare, too.
Yeah, it's like weirdly rare.
Yeah.
But
and what's funny is, even though that you can play that stuff on the Switch, it's still worth a lot of money.
Yeah. It's like well, surprise, surprise, physically owning something is, you know, worth more.
Worth more, yeah, I know.
I fucking hate digital anything.
I think from the Genesis, I went to... My nephew bought the PS1. And then after the PS1... Well, he bought the PS1, I bought the Saturn. But I bought the Saturn at the end of its life cycle. So it was like all the games were already out. I was playing it. It was like that's kind of
shit. Get them all used really cheap.
Yeah, I got them all cheap. It was alright, but nah, man, it was.
Oh wait, we did have a Game Gear.
Game Gear. Oh,
yeah, we had a Game Gear. We had like the Batman game.
Yeah,
Was it Batman
Mortal
Returns? Kombat. I don't remember if we had Mortal Kombat on there. Yeah. I had Mortal Kombat on the Genesis though. Is that Mortal Kombat on here?
I don't think so.
Let me check in a second.
Yeah.
But so you've always been a huge Sega fan.
Mm-hmm. And
so much so that you got that immortalized in your arm.
Oh, yeah.
You can show off your tattoo.
Oh, wrong one.
You forget the arm?
Forget the arm sometimes.
Them guns, them Sega guns. Did Sega have a light gun?
Yeah, they had the phaser. It was called
there you go.
The phaser.
That's what you gotta call it. Your phasers, dude.
The phaser. No, but what's funny is they based the phaser off of... It was based off an anime.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Do you remember the anime?
I don't remember the anime. And the Game Gear is basically a miniaturized version of the Master System.
Is that what that was?
Mm-hmm. Because the Master System came out, I think, around the same time or 2 years after the NES.
Huh.
And it was just like a... kind of like their way to compete with Nintendo, pretty much. And
I know a lot of that from watching High Score Girl.
Yes.
Dude, that's a great anime.
Yes, it is.
That's like my favorite anime.
Yeah, and then that arcade machine that I was telling you about, it's all based off of that show.
You used to own a Neo Geo.
Yeah, Neo Geo.
But Neo Geo is not the same as Sega.
No.
And so, yeah, he used to have a big, huge arcade cabinet that had like, and you would buy like all of the carts, not the carts, what are they called? The boards?
Yeah, it's like cartridge. It's like looks like a VHS tape.
Ah, that's right. Okay. And so, yeah, he had like this real big, and I think I only ever saw it like did I ever go to your house? I think I went to your house like once.
Yeah, I think you saw it one time.
And you took me and showed me.
And then, of course, I got an Astro City. I just sold it. I had a Sega Astro City, and that one was from Japan. It was from an arcade in Japan that came out of Comics over here. So some guy was like, "Hey man, I'll sell it to you for this much." I was, sure, I'll buy it. Do you remember back in the days where like they would always compare the console graphics to the arcade?
Oh yeah,
that was the big thing. It was like
fighting games. They would always be like, "Oh, it's arcade perfect," you know, because I guess the lag and like the quality or whatever.
The only system to ever do arcade perfect, aside from Dreamcast, was the Saturn.
Well, the Dreamcast had an arcade perfect MVC too, right?
MVC 2 and MVC 1.
Yeah,
and they had the Street Fighter 3.
Actually, yeah. Little known fact that despite Marvel vs. Capcom 2 coming out on a bazillion systems, back in the day, and still to this day, I should say, still to this day, the tournament standard is the Dreamcast version.
Yeah.
because it's arcade perfect, and that's despite the flaw where the game just shuts off periodically.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember why that happens. But when it happens mid-match, they're just like, whatever, let's restart.
Yeah, pretty
and
much.
I love it because it's, I guess, a perfect version of the game that they don't care that whoever was winning just got robbed. All they care about is making sure that the gameplay is, as arcade perfect as possible.
And that's the MVC2 or MVC1?
That's MVC2.
MVC2, okay.
Like on the Dreamcast, like literally, it just shuts off. For like, I don't know why. I don't remember why. I don't remember if it was just too much going on screen or something. It just got overloaded. But for whatever reason, that the Dreamcast just shuts off in the middle of the games sometimes. And so they'll play, 2-3 games, and then they'll be in the middle of a game. And I guess maybe that's why people got so good, is you had to finish your opponent off so fast before the game shut off.
Yeah.
Wonder if it has anything to... I'll look into that later.
It's probably have to do with the arcade stuff, man, because the MVC2 was made for the Naomi. It was made on the Naomi, which was released by Sega, which the Naomi stands for New Arcade Operators Idea or something like that. Now, the Naomi is basically an arcade version of the Dreamcast with more graphics and more RAM.
Oh, shit.
So that's why it was pretty much arcade perfect on the system.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Tell me other Sega facts that I didn't know, because I know you probably got a bunch.
The Sega Saturn has an arcade perfect version of Marvel Super Heroes vs. Street Fighter.
Nice.
And X-Men vs. Street Fighter. And what is it? I think it's X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Super Heroes vs. Street Fighter. Oh, Lord of the Vampire Savior.
Oh, shit.
Because the Saturn had a 4 megabyte RAM card. They did it before the N64.
Oh.
So they had a little cartridge. It was made by Capcom, and it went to the back of the Saturn. Japanese system, of course, only, but it'd go into the back of the system.
They had the actual ports to accommodate.
Yeah, and you can even buy the full size like freaking Sega Astro City freaking joystick for the Saturn.
Oh shit!
Which it had 2 joysticks and like 9 buttons per side.
That was one thing about Sega that I did not like. Do you remember when they used to name everything Virtua?
Yeah.
It was so dumb.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, brand marketing and stuff.
Nintendo did it too.
What did they do? The Super?
No, at 64.
Well, okay, they did it with both, because remember, everything was Super Metroid, Super Mario, like all the, like, I guess that's equally dumb. Virtua was just, I don't know, weird.
Look, is that Virtual Cop, Virtual Fighter?
Virtual Cop was super fun in the arcades, though.
Virtual Cop, Virtual Fighter, Virtual Racing.
Well, did Sega do Time Crisis?
No.
Or was that Namco?
That was Namco. So there's actually some people out there, like on the forums and stuff that I read on, that they actually have their Saturn set up into like an arcade machine, and they have that joystick, and they're running freaking Marvel Super Heroes vs. Street Fighter, and it's all those, and that's arcade perfect, because that 4 megabyte RAM card is what they need for the game to run fully like in its arcade perfect. It's arcade perfect.
Nice.
It's crazy.
Sega. I wish we could use that without getting sued. Yeah. But we have the video for the what is it called?
The Genesis Mini.
You gonna talk it up?
Yeah. Let's see. The Genesis Mini. When did it come out? 2 years ago.
I have no idea.
2-ish years ago. It's basically 30 of the hand-picked games from the library.
I saw that they had Street Fighter, and what else did they have on there? That's what the footage at the bottom of the screen right now is. He's going through the... If you're familiar with like the NES Classic, it's very similar.
Very similar, but it has almost all the Sonic games. Almost.
I thought it was pretty cool they did this.
See, I like when they do stuff like this. My only complaint is that they do limited now. I hate when it's limited, because
What do you mean limited?
Well, because they don't make enough. So then you have scalpers.
Oh, yes.
You get the scalpers. They'll buy 20, 30, 40 of these, and I don't want to pay $200-$300 for a Genesis Mini when it was on sale for $79.
Did this come out? When did you say? 2 years?
I believe 2018 or 2019.
Oh, okay. So it's been like a while.
Yeah.
That was
2020.
When they do the limited quantities, it feels like they're doing it as a litmus test to see like if there's interest in these things. Because you remember Sega? No, it wasn't Sega. It was Midway. I'm thinking of Midway, because they also did a bunch of arcade stuff.
Yeah.
How they used to release the Midway arcade treasures.
Yeah.
And so
I have that one. I have the part 2.
Sega did that, right?
Yeah, they did the Genesis. They did it for PS3.
Yeah.
The Genesis collection.
And so all the stuff that they put out, it's like they're trying to gauge to see if people are interested in it. But should start a game so you can see, so they can see like it's basically like an exact copy.
Do some ghouls and ghosts.
But
see, but what's funny is like.
Is it Super Ghouls and Ghosts?
No, not Super Ghouls and Ghosts. That's a good one too. That actually was on the. You know that one actually was on the Sega Saturn.
Oh really?
The Japanese version.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who put that game out? That's a Capcom game. Right?
Capcom. Go to Arthur.
You remember when they came out with Maximo on the PS2?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a spiritual sequel, right? To this one.
But it was incredibly hard.
Yeah.
I just remember that before it came out, I was in love with like the graphics and like all of the character art and stuff. But as time progressed, like I played it, finally played it, and I was like, this game's pretty damn good. This game's pretty good. And then like I kept dying, like in like I don't even remember where. It's been that long, but it ended up not being that great. It was so simple.
Fun fact: you actually shoot up. You shoot up in this game.
Did you just die?
Yeah, I died.
Bro.
I know. First level, right?
Bro.
You know they're making also the Sega's about to release the Genesis Mini Part 2.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's coming out, I believe, in October.
Oh shit. You know what games are going to be on it?
It's supposed to have some games from the Sega CD, like Sonic CD on it and stuff like that as well. I forgot the full game list on it, but it's extremely limited, of course. It's what's funny is the actual like the US version of it is going to be sold on Amazon Japan only, and it's going for $100. But it's supposed to look like the old school Genesis Model 2.
Did 3DO ever do anything like this?
No. TurboGrafx did. I have that one too. I got the TurboGrafx Mini on it. It has Splatterhouse on it.
Where do you buy all your retro games like in town? Just Tronics?
No, there's Tronics, but I haven't really been there. It's the FX.
Oh, FX. That the one by Peter Piper's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, by Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, Chuck E. Cheese. That's right. I'm sorry. If I guess, yeah. You know what? We should go in there and see if they want to do an episode. I feel like Tronics is Tronics. I don't know. But I've been inside FX and they're pretty nice.
Yeah.
I was talking to them. They got a pretty good collection.
Yeah, the owner has my. I sold the owner my Neo Geo CD.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. He gave me a. I pretty much what I bought it for is what he pretty much bought it for. But it was a Neo Geo CD with like 10 games. Some Altered Beast.
Should have just played Street Fighter for 30 minutes straight, and we would have cut out all the ones that I lost. And
Let's take a look that one up real quick.
I know they got. I saw Street Fighter, and they have the Sonics, the classic Sonics. Which, in all honesty, how much did you pay for this? What was the retail?
$79.99.
The retail was $80.
$80.
That ain't too bad.
No.
And how many games?
That's what it has. About, 42 games?
That ain't bad. Plus all the hits, right? No Mortal Kombat, though?
Yeah, no Mortal Kombat.
That's okay. If it had Mortal Kombat, though, you could have done your
It has Tetris.
Oh, really? Well, I got Tetris on my
Released
my
in
PSP.
2019 because it's supposed to be the whole controversy with Tetris when it came out back in the day. Was one of the guys who was supposed to, I guess he had bought the rights for the Nintendo version. That's the one that's on the GameCube. I'm sorry, the Game Boy. So he bought the rights to the GameCube, the Game Boy version or whatever, and he went backdoor and did a deal with like Sega, and they ended up. I guess they print. It was those what the hell they call it? Like the black. It was like a black cartridge for the NES. Well, they did the same thing with Tengen. So it was Tengen, the Tengen version of NES. Well, they went back. Sega went back and licensed a deal with them too, but they never got released. So this is the first time it was released. Was on. That's why it says 2019. That's when it was released. The system 2019.
Nice. Shady Sega deals.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can cut that short, and then me and you can just hang out. But
yeah.
Any Sega information that people want to know, hit us up in the comments, and I'm gonna make Aldo read them. and I'll text him and be like, "Hey, dude, somebody asked what such and such."
Some of my stuff might be wrong with some fact checking stuff. So.
Oh shit, man! You know a lot more about it than I do. I ain't trying to. Dude, I play that.
But that Genesis Mini though, man, I would look into that because that's gonna be super rare. So if you're into collecting, and it actually has like Sega CD games on it. But the only one I've actually been really wanting to play was Snatcher.
But everybody, y'all, like what you hear. If you're impressed with Aldo's Sega knowledge, then let us know in the comments. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I always feel so weird saying that. It helps with feedback. We really that's one area where we kind of struggle is we don't really get a lot of feedback from people.
Yeah.
And so we don't know if we're doing good, doing bad.
If I suck, let me know.
Gonna talk crap for all them blank spaces on the screen. Aldo needs to learn how to play Tetris.